Hey everybody, this is the Women Healing Naturally podcast. My name is Skye, this is Chantal. We answer your questions, we talk about it naturally, how you can heal, and today we're talking about where you can get your protein on a raw diet. Hey Chantal.
Hi Skye, how are you?
I'm good. I've been busy. Anybody watching, there is one day left to get the Ultimate Raw Vegan Bundle. This bundle has 32 contributions, including 2 ebooks from me, other people. Hopefully, Chantel will join us next year with this. And I will drop the link below because it's just $50 worth, $1,500. There's a course by Dr. Doug Graham worth $750 in it. Definitely worth getting. Have you checked it out yet, Chantel?
I have actually. I started the 80-10-10 course with Chris and Dr. Graham, and I was talking to Chris about interviewing Dr. Graham as well. So I definitely checked it out. Then I looked at your book, of course, which I had before because we were doing all these beautiful recipes. Then I started looking at those breads. Oh my gosh, I was like, the challenge for me, as you know, has been that my living situation is a little bit uh, fluid right now, I should say,
Yes.
because of my divorce, and all my equipment is at the farm because I still haven't purchased the farm that I want to buy, and I only have access to it once a week, but because it's been raining now, I didn't even have the chance to put it on because I normally run it with the solar panels. And so it's been really sad because I haven't been able to make all the recipes that I want to make in the dehydrator. But I'm really looking forward to having my space at some point this year so that I can, I actually need that nurturing, especially in perimenopause. I cannot tell you, my body's like, we used to do shit like this in the 20s and it worked, but right now.
These topics come up a lot. So what has become really apparent to me with, I am in full menopause because I had a hysterectomy. But I think what is really apparent with everybody I talk to and podcasts I do with people in perimenopause is the fact that we change so much, we slow down, but we're almost more in our feminine energy when our hormones drop than we are when we're blasted with hormones. Because I think and this is how estrogen dominance occurs, right? Is we thrash the body high quarters, or we really overuse the hormones and sit in that masculine drive at home energy. And then they start to settle and we're like, whoa, I got to slow down.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a beautiful thing actually, because I think we are more centered, we have the time to actually think and focus and ground, and it's a gift. And I think if we actually did that even when we were younger, we would actually build longevity from the age we should. We are finally talking about it, but we're talking about it too late, in my opinion. I think we should talk about it much earlier, but at least we're talking about it now before we didn't even do this. So it's it's definitely a progress. But imagine if we were raised with this knowledge of how to look after your body, how to look after yourself, how important sleep is, instead of being like, sleep is a waste of time, or people saying, I'll sleep when I die,
100%. I mean, for a short time, not a long time. And then and you realize, I want to be here.
Yeah. No, you will die if you don't sleep. It's more like that. But
yes. Oh, I think you've frozen there.
Should be. Well, we're lucky as women. Oh, I lost you for a second. We're back.
Yeah, we lost you. Keep going. Sorry.
No, cool. I was saying we're lucky as women because at least our hormones are at some point going to be like, hi, you gotta change.
100%. What I have noticed, even though I was extremely sick when I was younger and very sick even when I was in postmenopause, but Sprinkle of Whimsy has actually said something here. And I don't necessarily think perimenopause makes me more tired, but what I've noticed is I need to nourish my organs for them to work efficiently now I've postmenopausal. I feel like before, the reason we can thrash is hormones and other organs pick up the slack and that's why we get these hormonal dominances and hormonal issues growing up, which are so common because of what we're doing. We can't get that. The hormones are starting to go. In my case, they're not there. Did you want to say anything on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think you should think about the wear and tear of our body. So we are born with cells that are, unless there are genetic issues or illnesses, we are born with the wonderful powerhouse of our body, which is the mitochondria, functioning really, really well. We actually get our mitochondria from our moms, which is great. It's like a great gift that she gives us. And the thing is, we generally speaking, as we said before, we just don't learn how to look after ourselves. So we wear and tear the energy supplies. We are, especially when it comes to glucose, because a lot of people are eating a very refined carbohydrate diet rather than simple carbs and complex carbs and lots of veggies and greens and fiber. Like there is this refined, the breads, the pizzas, the cupcakes, the bagels. I mean, you name it. And I'm not talking about our versions in the raw space, but I'm talking about the commercial things. And so you're giving mitochondria glucose, yes, and they make ATP with it. But imagine giving your car the cheapest fuel you can get, and it comes with a lot of lead and a lot of different heavy metals that are slowly clogging things up. It's the same kind of concept when it comes to our mitochondria. Like if we don't give it the right fuel, over time we get tired. Then add to that environmental factors. We're breathing air that is polluted and we can't do anything about it. We just have to deal with it. We just have to help our body detoxify, as we always talk about it on our channels. Then we are drinking water, and yeah, we can purify it, but sometimes you're out and you're going to drink water that is not purified. Or we are, there are so many elements to it. Like where a lot of people use skincare that is extremely toxic. You have a beautiful book in the bundle that is all about natural skincare from food, like the skincare that you can eat. Okay. So it's
Yes.
amazing, and
Trial
that
very good. Tested, right? If you can eat it, you can put it on your skin.
exactly. I think that's really the concept. Like, why would we put something on our skin that there is a warning on? If it goes into your eyes, go to the doctor, wash it. Like, shouldn't we put things on our skin that we can put in our body? Because ultimately our skin is part of our body, is our biggest detox um organ. Things come out, things go in. We just don't think about these things. We're not educated, which is baffling. And so this is why these conversations are so important. But yeah, we get to an age where we get into perimenopause and our hormones decline, and that impacts our whole system. So if we have been battered by life, as we all have, then you do get tired and you start feeling fatigued. The good news is, as you are noticing these things, you can definitely turn it around. Because now this is a time when, if you listen to your hormones, you learn how to dance with them. You learn what their characters are and how to serve them. Like estrogen liking a longer fast, low glucose. Um, she likes to be, she likes to work out. She likes to be a little bit more active in a way. And then progesterone, and we want to support progesterone, like the lazy sister who wants to be on the couch and just have that sweet potato because she needs glucose. So learning where we are in our cycle. If we don't have a cycle, learning how to support both hormones. Definitely when we don't have a cycle, the trend is 3 days estrogen boosting, 1 day progesterone boosting. And then see how you actually feel, because also the way that you support progesterone for you will be very different to another person. And of course, like the bananas and the mangoes, those are great food to have for progesterone. But then some people just don't do well with too much of it. Like they need to have less because progesterone maybe has an impact on the body. So it's very, very, very interesting. But that's a good question, isn't it, about the balanced minerals?
Yeah, I just also wanted to say before we go into this about balancing minerals. So in the bundle, I've managed to do, and I don't know whether you've done it yet, the Dr. Karen and Rick Dina detox course, which is in the bundle. And because I went through a stage, most people know, where I did a lot of fruits, and then I feel like I'm getting able to do veggies, fruits again slowly. But then it was 2 years minerals, 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 nuts, seeds, and I think the fats, to get fat soluble vitamins in. But when I did this detox course, and why they created it was most of the community thinks we have to pull back and strip and strip and strip and strip. And there's facets to that which are important, but think about the world we live in, which is not only bombarded us most of our life, we've done it to ourselves as well with toxins and the wrong foods and stuff. But then you're trying to strip while you're still getting toxins in, and we're mineral depleted. And everything they spoke about, all the different stages of detox and pathways and things that get more inflammatory in different stages of detox, rely heavily on different minerals. The one food that came up in the course, which I have been sleeping on, sunflower seeds. Sunflower seeds, when it came to all sorts of minerals, including things like, I think, what were some of the minerals that they were talking about? There was things like zinc, including selenium is in it. And for people, like sprouts, that you can have on top of your salad, there's a whole lot. So it's interesting the role, and this was myself discovering this before even looking into the science of it, is I could feel how much more efficiently my body works with primarily greens, and then nuts, seeds, veggies. It just makes such a difference, and understanding why was really great. So as for testing, I will let you talk. I will talk after. Oh, CMOS as well. CMOS is a bestie of mine.
Yes, she is. So the testing, I use it for my patients because I like to see where we at if needed. So depending on the symptoms, because of course they get expensive, all these tests. And then ultimately the way that I always go about it is, let's assume that we need more because most people are deficient in something, and most people don't eat the optimal diet anyway. So we have to optimize and get more minerals in any case. When we do, when we do testing, especially like when we do the basic blood work, which is something that I ask of my patients, is we look already at what's going on with the kidneys. That's a very, very good like indicator of what's going on in the body, because obviously our electrolytes are from the mineral world, and if they are off balance, then you can imagine all the rest is too. Then there are the ones that we don't always test, like chromium and copper, and generally speaking we're actually quite deficient in them. So looking at these foods that can give it to us, so you can test, and if you have the opportunity to test, please do, because it's great. But if I don't want to make people feel like we need to test everything for them to actually have the best options, because again, I always go in with the fact that, you know what, let's assume that you actually can do better and we can have more. So yeah, so we do that. And all these foods you mentioned, by the way, like the sunflower seeds and the microgreens, not only are they rich in minerals, but they're also the source of protein that we want to talk about today.
We do want to talk about those. I just off the back of minerals, I actually feel like for me, minerals are one of the most important things. And I say that, I think macronutrients are the most important, but we sleep on that fact, I think, and this is where the protein comes in, because we are constantly eating. But of course, you need to run the body, repair the body, have the body protected. That's the fat aspect and the soluble vitamins and minerals. So but let's get into the protein aspect of it, because that's what we're here to talk about today. Do you want to keep going?
Yeah, I can kick it off. So okay, protein. I mean, it's the buzzword online right now. In any case, everybody's talking about protein, not generally in the most efficient way, and it's the animal protein world that will push for these proteins. Now we undoubtedly know that protein is important, actually, and I'm gonna step out of the raw environment only, but let's talk about the vegan environment, cooked as well. You have my co-host, Brenda Davis, registered dietitian from Canada. She is really, really big in the plant-based community. Been at it for over 40 years, and she's writing a book about the protein with Santo Medina, um, about the protein needs for elderly people. And obviously they've been doing a lot of research. They are finalizing the book now, so it's coming out this year. And you know, people used to think that as you get older, your protein needs go down because you don't work out as much and whatever. But actually, we're finding that as we get older, supporting our body with good protein and a little bit more, even, it's a good idea because we don't create our hormones the same way as before in any case. And actually, protein, which is really the packaged way to say amino acids. So essential amino acids that we get from food, plus the ones that are not essential that we still make ourselves, are important because the amino acids are basically these blocks that don't only do muscles, which is really important to keep building as you get older, and then some. You don't want to give up working out. In fact, if you are in your 20s or teenage years, start working out now and continue for the rest of your life. Basically, you want to keep that muscle mass really strong. So protein is important for that. But protein creates hormones. Protein fixes your skin. Protein looks after your nervous system. Protein is part of your cellular makeup. Protein or amino acids are used in every single metabolic action in your body. So they are important. Now, people have been saying, okay, what are the quantities? The RDAs generally goes for 0.8 per kilo, grams per kilo. Although we're finding that actually moving towards a 1.2 is better for structural health and for building muscle. And if you are really an athlete, you can go up to 1.6. Now, having said that, I think the quality of protein is really, really important because when people get obsessed about getting only protein at the expense of fiber, this is when we get into problems with our kidneys and we get into problems with our liver and we get into problems with our digestion. Now, the beautiful thing about being on a plant-based diet is that all of our protein sources, because they come from plants, they also come from with fiber. They also come with like everything that you need to stay healthy. And if you're raw, now you're actually you're taking up a notch because now you're really going to the purest foods. And here, then, we're looking at the two options that we have, which is we can go the route of seeds and nuts, which, by the way, have, of course, amino acids, but the most part of them is fatty acids, which, again, if we are on, unless you're on a protocol like you have been with Dr. Goldner, we are trying to stay in a balanced area with fats for many, many reasons, and especially if you are on a high fruit diet, so that you can digest and metabolize your glucose better. If you have a lot of fats, that slows down your digestive dumping, which means actually you can get resistant to glucose. This is where we can get a little bit of problems. And then, so you can rely on things like microgreens, for example, or sprouted foods, which is amazing. If you can tolerate sprouted like lentils or chickpeas, the amount of proteins in there is unbelievable. Or any other seeds, alfalfa or fenugreek. I mean, I'm gonna get my jar now. I've been sprouting in my office because I had this epiphany that my office got the perfect temperature for kombucha, for fermenting and for sprouting, because it's like a greenhouse in a way. In summer, it's intolerable. I cannot work from here during the day. I go to a cafe and sit in the garden. But at this time, where it's like warm but not too hot, it's the perfect temperature for doing all this. So my alfalfa sprouts 2 days, poof. My fenugreek 2 days. I'm gonna show you. I came back today and I'm like, wow, these guys grew overnight. They really did.
I find sprouts grow without, like, so sadly, my plant issue is my life is very full and I forget. I have one plant and I'm lucky she's still here. So when I grow things, I'm the sort of person who, if I forget, I need someone who's supporting themselves. And I'm the same. And every time I leave sprouts on the counter, even if I forget, they're growing.
Yeah, they're like, hey, we're here. You know,
Yes.
I mean, I have become really good at sprouting chickpeas, which I was terrified by because I did it last year and I messed it up. You know, like when they can go off very quickly. And God knows they smell really bad when they go off. Whoa.
Yes.
So
Which is
I
why
was terrified.
so if you're worried about mold, that's when you don't eat things, when they smell bad. That's what nature
No,
did. Give the bad smell.
your nose knows.
I like that. I like that. So I also just wanted to give a preface here that protein is amino acids, right? And as you said, they're building blocks for the body and things like nerves, tissue, everything, right? And we need them. I think what can happen in especially the raw community is everything's pushing protein and we're running on glucose. So especially when people are younger, I watch young women on a raw food diet who literally run their bodies so efficiently off fruit and of course greens, but they don't have to prioritize, I guess, that repair system that comes in as we age. But what tends to happen is we get triggered, right? Because our diet is not hugely high. I mean, it's not the prominent thing that a frugivore would eat. So we get in a defense mechanism where I even think I did it, where I'm like, I don't need protein, which is absolutely crazy because it's one of the macronutrients. You want sugars, you want fats, and you want proteins. Like there's macro and macronutrients, and they're that foundation. So I feel like a lot of us have got into this defense mode, but at the same time, we need to look at what we need. And I've noticed doing the all fruit versus getting in more greens and sprouts and nuts and seeds and veggies, and where my body is in life, which is postmenopausal, like those minerals, amino acids make such a difference. Like they really make such a difference. But that doesn't mean, because it's taken a while, as I've said, to being able to tolerate sugars again. And I feel that was just part of my journey. And that's probably for another episode. But I've done Dr. Brooke Goldner's protocol. The whole time, not her strict protocol, my own type of it. And I was very aware the whole time, this is not where I want to stay. You know, you can run very efficiently, very light on higher fruits. And you find a lot of women through menopause will lean more into the fruits just for the fact it's lighter on the system. And being lighter on the system. So I like to bring this photo up of me when I was literally being thrashed with protein powders. Okay. In this photo I'm about to bring up, I was post-menopausal already, and I couldn't absorb anything, no matter what I did, no matter what nutritionist, and I was given the best of the best, and I was in hospital multiple times, having infusions, and nothing would take. And you mentioned something about, so I'm on protein powders 2 times a day if I could push it to 3. In hospital, I was on the sustagen. Oh my God, every meal was shoved with a sustagen, eating, and I wouldn't absorb. And this is where it's important to know what you said, the quality of the protein is the fact that I don't believe, and I don't know, you might be able to quote some science here, that you need to eat as much amino acids on a raw food diet because they assimilate so much easier because they have that water content in the package. There is enzymes. Your body, you can grow the microbiome based on the fibers that come with something to support your system. I feel like most of the problem I had, and as you can see, I need a whole lot of repair here, is the fact that I'm missing my stomach, duodenum, top part of my intestines. I could not absorb harsh protein sources, which essentially is meat and essentially is powders. And even now when I put a powder in, because I want to get a little bit more protein, and that became really apparent when I broke my toe. See, when I broke my toe and I'm like, I got to get the grapes in to get the electricity in, my body was like, girl, you've got to get your hemp. All I craved was hemp protein and peanut protein, and then that tapered off completely. But during that period, every meal wanted scoops of it. But what I do notice once again, because my body's running so efficiently now, if we can get to a stage of getting our body to run efficiently, is you're going to absorb, assimilate, utilize, and detox the things you don't need much better. But I notice any protein powders, and I tend to use a seeded hemp, as someone said here, hemp is protein. Yes, it is, but it is high in fat. I notice my skin, if you're in menopause, post-menopause, maybe even perimenopause, I'm not sure, is when I remember being younger and people saying when I was younger, would hear mums say, you know, I look at that cake and cellulite jumps on my thighs, or I eat that and I see wrinkles. If I much of the protein powders, even hemp protein, which is just the fat removed, or peanut, the next day I wake up and I can see the texture of my skin crepey, and that's the dehydration, right? That's the kidneys. So it's it. So, and then they were thrashing these powders and meat for years, and I wonder why I ended up looking like this. So that whole food is where we can look at, and I'm a big, and I crave, when I work out now, I crave the protein. I will crave my lentils. And I will mash them up in my tuna. Sometimes I'll put them in there. I will, what else? I will just put them through my salad. I will soak them and eat them. What else do I like to do? I like to add mushrooms. I don't think there's a huge amount of protein in mushrooms. I do have some, go through periods where I have more nuts and seeds. Things also, I think, I look a lot at my body. I let it tell me, because as I said, things will come up very quickly. There is all the foods, and they do add up. You know, having a green juice and putting a whole lot of greens in it, or a green smoothie, there's amino acids in that. Hemp seeds, peanut butter, but they tend to be higher in fat. But I feel like my body goes through ebbs and flows. It will not on. It'll come back into more.
I had lost you for a second. You're back.
Oh, I tend to go through periods, and I guess like what you're talking about, the hormones, where you're saying, you know, once your hormones stop, is do 3 days to support estrogen, 2 days to support progesterone, and keep that balance in. I find my body goes through periods where it wants to pull back and be lighter, and then it will almost fast part of the day with green juice and want denser, fattier meals with the proteins. It adapts, it learns, but it's much more efficient than being like this.
Yeah. I mean, I always wonder, I think you explained everything perfectly. And I have to look at the science about the raw protein, but I do have the perfect book for it because, again, Brenda wrote Becoming Raw as part of her series. And actually, that book taught her that we need more raw food. She's not fully raw. She does have the science, you know, showing that certain things are actually better cooked. I appreciate that when it comes to the science. So, and it's not her preference to be fully raw, but she has added so much more raw food in her diet. Like the other morning, she was telling me how she just had raw granola, you know, that she makes at home, and you know, it's great. And she has a salad every day. So, you know, and she looks amazing for her age, and she's very sporty, like poster child for, you know, really walking or talk. And in this book it will say, so I will check the data in it, and then I'll share it on the comments in on YouTube, so that we will have it. But I think what you shared is really, really important. Number one, protein is very, very dehydrating. So actually, we can even have our BUN, which is the marker of like creatinine, and going up into our blood when we are doing blood work. And of course, if you don't have any other markers in your kidneys that show problems, there's not a problem. That just shows dehydration. That's mostly the case for healthy vegans that eat a lot of protein. But so hydration is important. You need to drink water. You need to drink coconut water. You need to maybe just put a pinch of Himalayan salt in your water to get the electrolytes right. Especially if you have a lot of potassium, and we actually do because we eat so many veggies. Make sure that you do not skip on sodium. I see a lot of raw foodists who just don't want to have any sodium, and I think that's actually not beneficial. I understand the whole point of too much sodium, but if you see where people get the sodium, we don't have that problem. And so you want to just bring in a little bit sprinkles of salt to balance out all the potassium that we have. Otherwise, you are going to be out of balance with too much potassium, right? So it's
So
really
just until I 2 years on fruit, no salt added, I ended up with a sodium deficiency and drinking ocean water. So I can attest to that.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect. Thank you for sharing that. So yeah, we'll have to check. So you can get dehydrated. So that's very important. And I think with protein powders, I'll be honest, I bought the some warrior, which they are raw.
Yep.
And occasionally in a smoothie, not a problem. But I will say that I don't love taking them. If I have to take a protein powder, I'd rather go for like pea protein or hemp protein or just the seeds if I need to take any, because I do feel different when I take a protein powder, because as much as it's raw and it's healthy and is well made by a company that cares, my body just thinks it's too processed.
Yeah. What is that? And I'll be excited to see what Brenda says about this data, because to me that falls into the fact that the whole food has what we need when we need the protein. Like if I am I'm going to be honest here, is maybe I do better with say tahini than I do peanut butter.
Mm,
Better, right? But if I have a nut butter, I still, and that has been processed to some extent, I still don't have this. It's probably the thing that hits me the most instantly the next day. My skin, you just move and it's turned crepey, which is that sign of dehydration. It is really heavy, and it to me again, that's that whole food will give us what we need.
yeah, I believe that. Yeah, somebody else said also the protein
Yeah.
powder process for them. Yeah, I'm also not in love. I mean, I must say, I used to like them much more before, but now my body's like, nah. So I want to show you my babies. Look at this.
Oh wow. Hang on,
So
let
this
me
is
bring you up. Let me bring you
fenugreek.
up.
Yeah, this is
Look at
fenugreek. And when they were sprouting at the beginning, I'm like, are these things really gonna become that big as like in the pictures? Because I've never done fenugreek before. And I came today and I'm like, oh, hello there. So they are. So I'm gonna let them drain tonight. Wash them earlier. I'm gonna let them drain tonight, and then tomorrow I will put them in a box with paper around it so there's no mold, and I'm gonna start eating them. And there's so much protein in here, guys. And not only like you know, you get so much micronutrients, like you get so many antioxidants, you get so much fiber, like you get everything you need in here. And calorie wise, super low, super low. Like
You know what?
400 grams, less than 20 calories. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, and they're high in iron. In fact, I always know, sorry, I'll bring me back up. I always
Yeah.
know when I need to bring something back in, because it starts like jumping out at me. And Lissa constantly talks about the fenugreek sprouts. She adds a lot. I think I was looking at it and there's the iron, protein, but I need to prioritize more. I think and this, people might be able to relate to this, and I'm very open about my journeys. I've been through so much in my life. I'm not really, you can't dissociate when you've been sick for 32 years as to what is my trauma and what is me doing my best, right? And I am aware that I latch onto things very quickly that do not cause digestive distress or issues in my body. So I can tend to hyper focus on foods and not continually stay, like I really like lentils. And I know I always say they're high in DAO. And I think because I'm missing my stomach, I will be very low and I get the mast cell reaction. So they really help with the histamines in the body, an enzyme that get rid of histamines. But I keep hearing, especially to do with, Lissa in the bundle has got the Pause Please book in there, and the benefits of sprouts. So I need to get a few jars going and just rotate. So if something keeps going, and where I feel like I've just been focused on the lentils, but I do need to get into the fenugreek and back into, what else did I used to get? What other lentils did I used to
Alfalfa?
get? Alfalfa.
Alfalfa?
Yeah, drop below what others. I'm not great with chickpeas. In fact, I haven't done the freeze method that Lissa does, but in fact, even sprouted chickpeas, no matter how I do them, they're the only food which gives me what I would call a FODMAP, a SIBO type belly. You know, that bottom drop. Like there's different levels of bloating, but there's a true like pregnancy looking bloat that can come. They're the only food, and I've tried different ways, but I didn't try the freezing, and that's a me thing. That's not an everybody thing. That's just
Yeah.
a me.
And I want to just suggest, if you want to start sprouting, this is a great book to get.
Yes.
Yeah. So Doug Evans' book, it's really clear, really clear. And if you are in the US, guys, you're lucky because he has the Sprout company and you can actually get the best jars for sprouting. I'm racking my brain to find jars that are, because these are cute. honestly, and they do the job. But to get everything out once they are sprouted, it's a pain in the bum because they are so small and
Yeah.
narrow. The ones that he has are nice and round, so you can get everything in, And I don't like any waste because these babies are precious.
They are. You know what I do is once they start growing, I split them. So see how they're in a big jar? I use 2 big jars and let them grow up because they all sort of intertangle. But I saw Carlin said she ordered the bundle. Thank you. I hope you enjoy it. And then
I love
JD has said they're sprouting. And I'll quickly just add to the screen. Anyone is one more day while we're talking to get the bundle. That's there. So
You really want to get that bundle. It's amazing, honestly. So amazing.
yes, there's sorry for people who have just joined. There's 32 ebooks and courses, all brand new, all raw vegan. There's even a course in there by Dr. Doug Graham and Chris Kendall, which is worth $750. There's 2 ebooks by me. There's 2 books by Lissa from Raw Food Romance. There's Nate's Raw Recovery. I did a beauty book, Simple Recipes. What else is there? The Model Diet by Chris Kendall. All of this for $50 one more day. So if you're seeing the link and you wherever you are, Instagram or YouTube, just hit my bio. The links are also there. So go check that out.
I was a little bit surprised that there would be many more contributors this year, because we have a lot of amazing raw foodists out there that they share content all the time. I was a little bit surprised it didn't get involved.
Yeah, I think the one thing that comes up for people, and I think people who have watched the bundle many times will know this, is the amount of work that needs to go into it. So you don't only create a book, we come together and we create content for weeks leading up, and then we do the bundle. And that doesn't mean that people can't do the bundle and just drop a book, but I think even that part can, people are parents, they have lives, they've got careers. So, but there's still a lot in there. There's 32 ebooks.
Much.
Yeah. So so go check that out, guys. Let me.
Yeah, I bought it as soon as it came, so I had the whole week to look at it already.
Yes, it'll keep you going for ages, and don't get overwhelmed by it. Just sort through what you're drawn to, but do save it to a USB. I have like a bundle USB where I've got all the bundles saved forever, and then put it in apps and read it, or your PDF. A bundle USB.
Yeah, I was like, okay, I normally save everything, I back up everything on the external drive just in case. So I have a file that is just for bundles. I have the raw bundles. I have also the vegan bundles. So yeah, you know what I love is I was talking to Matt actually, because I'm like, I thought Matt from the Raw Intuition.
Yeah, I thought he used to do it.
Yeah, and I was like, Matt, why didn't you do it? But he had a very tough year, so I think that, bless him. So I said to him, I am going to do one next year that talks about how to prepare your food when you don't have a kitchen, because for the past 2 years I've had to really wing it, So
yeah, and that is where these books come from, everybody. So I especially when you've seen me, I'll put me back up quickly on the stage, is that was me with top doctors and surgeons and hospital visits, right? Whereas I literally transformed my life and myself from rock bottom. So the value I hold, that all these raw vegans create books based on their experience. Like I think my trauma brain shuts out a lot of medicine. It's very cautious. Whereas people's true journeys, like Lissa's going through perimenopause, you're in this kitchen situation. I wanted simple recipes. I shared the beauty recipes I used as I was healing. It all comes from our experience, and that warms me. I love it because I want to read it and I believe it.
Yeah, it's authenticity, right? When I look at your picture, one thing that comes to me, like even when we think about protein, you were having so many protein, and yet you can see that you are not assimilating anything, because even the postural structure of your body, it's like trying to close down. And now, protein comes from the food that you're having. You're not putting particular emphasis on it per se, and you are really open and, standing tall and strong
Yeah.
and working out, doing Pilates and going swimming. Like, look at that difference. And this is where, like, that fatigue in perimenopause, completely reversible, or any time in our life. There is a common denominator of all from between all diseases, though, and that is fatigue, because our mitochondria cannot make energy when we are depleted. And
Yes.
depletion, first, it's not, comes from nutrients. We are not getting the right nutrients, our mitochondria cannot perform. So this is why the quality of our food is so important. And this is also why I don't like to think about food as a macro, because even when we talk about, broccoli being, oh, the carbohydrates, broccoli also have fat, they also have protein. So
Yeah, I see what you're
it's
saying.
just that, yeah, the majority might be carbohydrates, but like we have started this dystopian approach to food, where like a food is a macro, but actually a
Yeah.
food is created by nature to package everything, you know.
Yeah, and I almost feel, well, the other thing that's come up during all these lives and these bundle talks is how people have become more intuitive when they put raw foods in their body, which I know a lot of people can't understand when they eat a dense preservative flavors in their diet, that you become intuitive to what you need. And what if the reason, like when you get on raw, you crave broccoli because it has the exact or close to the macro micronutrients your body requires right now. If you went and had a banana, you'd be giving it the wrong thing. You know what I mean? Like you'd be giving it too much, maybe sugar at that time. I think the trust in my body that I have that I never had, and I will say to this day, I swear to God, the transformation started to occur, and I became vegan, I believe, just because I wanted to, after I got rid of processed food. Like it's literally, I almost think it's worse than a drug, because we don't realize it is a drug. We don't realize how many drugs the body's taking on in multiple incidences, multiple times a day. Like you literally get up and put chemicals on your body. You go out and the milk, the sugar supplements, replacements, the flavors in their coffee, and you haven't really even started your day, and your brain is not running on, for me it was not running on heart or what it needed. It's literally drugged, or like that. To me, I guess what I'm saying is I've had small amounts of like pain relief, for example, when I broke my toe, and that still didn't feel great at all, but it didn't feel as lost myself when you eat drugs for food.
Totally. um it's a good test. Sorry, oh my god, I can't read the name here.
Oh, let me bring it up. Which there's goat ed 6x has said it is a chemical
Chemical
warfare.
war truly is.
It really is. So I'm reading my Instagram comments as well, and there's a few things that have come up here. There's one where I think I've lost them because we've gone up. Taught my mum about sprouting. Oh, yes, the strongest animals eat plants. And I think that's something to think about, right? Is, you've got gorillas out there living off greens, and the body will build if we eat what we're designed to eat. So another one is, and I want to talk on this quickly. So organic mineral element is where you should get salt from. Sodium from. It's never salt. And I had a chat to ChatGTP about this because I was just drinking so much celery water, right? Which is, we can't eat the amount of celery. So I said to ChatGTP, how much, because people go, eat celery, have a celery juice. It takes 5 heads of celery to get half a teaspoon of salt, right? Your recommended daily intake is a teaspoon. I don't think you need that. But the caveat to drinking it is you need sodium to get rid of fluid. So I wondered, and I think if you can get in tune, because I feel like I got so in such a deficit, I was like craving, like you got to get it, and then you're already having problems, so you're swelling up and your body's not used to it. Is have, like what you said, a little bit here and there when you feel like it, and you stop. That stops me binging and fall needing it binging, but then you fall back into an addiction brain that you've got going on. So that was my experience with sodium. Is that all sounds good, but remember, people want to eat like we're designed, like frugivores, but we don't live like we're designed. We live around chemicals, we live around stress, we are not grounded, yet people like, you should only eat fruit. And I'm like, if we don't, sure, in Thailand on a beach all day, we're not working, in the ocean you literally absorb the minerals, but we don't live like that. So that's, yeah, I get put a lot out there then.
I also no, and I think I want to add to that, to the fact that, and Dr. Moore talks about this too. You know, if you are in an acidic environment, like a warm environment, having alkaline food like fruit is brilliant. But if you are in an alkaline environment, like the coldest place, like say Canada in winter, then your body's just going to crave more acidifying food. And it's not because, you know, I don't like to say acid bad, alkaline good. You can go into alkalosis too. Okay, so we have to understand that extremes are bad on each side. Most people, of course, live in acidosis because we have a very acidic world. But the point is that we have we find that balance, you know, and we don't live in a tropical island, as you said, where we can have fruit all day. I mean, I certainly don't do well on only fruit. I tried it. I did it, especially when I did the cleanse at the beginning with Dr. Morse, when I started studying with him. And then I was like, my body just doesn't like all fruit. I need greens. I'm more of I work better with the Hippocrates approach rather than just fruitarian.
So I think coming off the back of Thailand recently, coming home, and we're going into winter, and now in the subtropics versus the tropics. The fruit that you eat in Thailand is nothing like the fruit I have here. And even if I did eat that, I think if I had that fresh fruit readily available, maybe, but fresh jackfruit, fresh durian, and if you look at fruitarians who live in tropical climates, they're not living off berries and unripened kiwi fruits and unripened apples. They're literally living off very hydrating foods like dragon fruit. And you do not stop drinking coconut water, by the way. And the coconut water isn't sweet. It's like just an electrolyte drink. It's not like here. It's like sugar water here. And then I come inside and I'm not moving around. And I even heard Karen Calabrese, who's been raw for like ever, right? When someone was interviewing her, because she eats, you notice these women as they get older who are long-term raw vegans do not eat a lot of fruit. In fact, fruit gets rid of sweets altogether for 2 weeks, twice a year or something like that. Someone brought up, oh, but what about people who go into the jungle and get a jackfruit, pull it off the tree? She said, well, they're climbing the tree. They're interacting with electrons, they're grounding, you pull it off and then you eat it there, and then you're still walking through the jungle. It was like that in Thailand. I'm eating hydrating food in the morning, coconut water, hydrating food, coconut water, and then literally dense fresh fruit. Like this fruit's just been picked, including the coconut water is so fresh. I learnt this off Dan McDonald, it almost tastes fizzy because it's like bubbly from being alive. And so, and the reality I was in, like how you feel, and I'm grounded all day. I'm not indoors. Every time you go indoors in fruit, I feel really bad. I'm like, I've got to get outside. It's so different. There's not even a comparison. So I think that's something to think about.
We have some comments actually on Instagram here from Joanna Sunshine.
Yes,
she was saying that, okay, 30 bananas to get, well, actually 30 bananas would give you about 3,000 calories because one banana is 100 calories, depending on the size. So that's a lot of bananas. Freely, I don't know. I don't rate her too much. So I don't necessarily.
Well, hang on a sec. Let's stop there. So she started on 30 bananas a day. Now she wakes up and has raspberries with coconut water and 3 tablespoons of sugar. Okay.
Yeah, what's up with the sugar?
So this is a person who's saying fruitarian's the way, right? So is this causing the change of diet? We don't know. So she's doing the sugar, she's doing a huge fruit meal, and then at night she's having frozen hot chips that are frozen in oil. So is this leading to this? Yeah. If you watch her latest video, I'm not here to say what's right or wrong, but if people like to cherry pick information, they like to go, oh, but Freely did 30 bananas. And yeah, but that's not what she's doing now. And you have to agree with what she's doing now. And I'm not saying what's right or what's wrong, but if you were, because this person's fruitarian, Jonah, he's on my as well. So that is something I thought I would bring up. My theory on what she's doing, because she's been doing high raw for like 20 years. She's grounded most of the day, right? She's running her body very efficiently off glucose, right? But will that over time? We don't know. And I deteriorate and my metabolism can't take it. But is that because she was able to get her body? Also, remember when she's having 30 bananas, she did not stop exercising. That girl started, she was bike riding all day. So
yeah, I don't rate her because I don't follow her. I know of her, but I don't follow her, so I don't know. I mean, everybody knew about the bananas because she made them popular.
yes.
You know, she was the banana girl, but I don't know. I didn't know she changed even. Tell me again what she has in the evening.
She has different carbohydrate based meals, whether it's sometimes it's pasta and tomato sauce, sometimes it's like brown rice. There might be tomatoes on that, a bit of avocado. But her new thing a couple of times a week, and she made a video on it, is she finds frozen potato chips in a store better than she can't grow them where she is, than purchased potatoes. She said she doesn't digest them as well. So she's made a video on that. The thing I like about her making a video on that and is the fact that there's people who I don't agree with sugar. For me, I can't have anything that processed. But imagine people are doing fruit-based diet all day and eating healthy, and then they're like, I feel really bad about eating frozen chips, which there's much worse things in the world than getting a bag of frozen chips, right? I call them chips. Do you call them chips? Fries.
Yeah, fries, chips.
It's a lot of people are up in arms because for many years she put down people who ate beige food, and now she's eating beige food.
Oh yeah.
And the lamp oil, and they are in oil, and she's eating lamp oil now. So I think that's where the comments differ. But I actually like people who share. Like, she's got a health. To me, it's much healthier than what most people eat. But when a fruitarian tells me eat 30 bananas because Freely does, well, this is where we are now.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if it's sustainable. French fry, but so French fries, yeah. So she buys them. She eats them frozen.
No, she cooks them in the oven because she's high raw.
Oh, she makes them in the oven.
Yeah.
Interesting. I mean, hey, whatever. I mean, you know, I don't think I honestly do not believe that it's the perfect diet. I will come up with that statement out there for everybody, because everybody's different. If she thrives on that, kudos to her. You know, I think my humble opinion, listening to this without having watched the video, without knowing much of her work, what I think is that maybe at some point she was restricting too much, and she felt like she needed to add something. I don't know, or maybe she's just listening to her body too, because she's changing.
Yes, I think from what I get from it is she's sort of saying the body runs off glucose, which is true, but she has a very big hype because the glucose is the whole picture. Whereas I am more of the mindset there is so many multiple facets that I for my body, but that she can't get in the amount of sugar she needs to run her body. So this is where the sugar in the morning so she can't get the amount of food in for the sugar she wants in her diet. So the sugar comes in, and she talks about the depletion of kidneys having used most of the sugars overnight, and they need to be topped up. And the reason people go for coffee is to basically start stimulating the body when it needs glucose. So she has this drink, and I see a lot of people underneath say, thank you, you've helped me so much. Now, I don't know how much science is behind that, and even if there is science behind that, it wouldn't be at the forefront because protein is, and there's companies making big money off protein. But and then the next meal is very huge on sugars again, the fruit. No sugar. She might add more sugar. She's like very into adding sugar. And then the next part is she has a complex carbohydrate meal at dinner, whether that's like the cooked veggies, or she cooks brown rice and makes lots of big food. But if someone like myself, or with a damaged metabolism, starts to add, I know, right?
Honestly, what are you, 5 years old?
I know. It starts to add, if I add any fat to that, and what I also see, and I think, as I said, I think she's got a metabolism running really well, is I see a lot of young women in the raw food community who run extremely well in youth on carbohydrates, like extremely well. Like they don't really need to think about much more than that they have lots of fruit and a salad at night, but they, where we're constantly going through perimenopause, where you're re-regulating because of blood sugars and if you get, so yeah, that's the, I think, the idea of it. And I don't know, I'm not her.
I don't know. I the way I look at it, from my humble opinion, is this: I wouldn't add sugar, refined sugar. I would rely on fruit if you are needing more carbohydrates. I mean, dates are packed. Like, you need to have refined sugars when you can have dates and figs. Actually, on Instagram, that's exactly what she was saying. Um, she has dates and figs. Yeah, I mean, you
Yeah,
can make fruit juices.
yeah, she's addressed that and said she doesn't, but she needs more. So I've never seen anybody, but I don't know how this is all working, because I mean, she's not putting on weight. She's still small. She says she feels great. So, but I think, the fact that she's changed over time, we all change, right? So what's the future look like? We don't know. And I think I liked her new video, in the fact that she seemed more humbled about how she knows fruit's optimal, but she doesn't want to do it. She wants to eat complex carbs at night. And I like this sort of information more so than anything else, because so many people feel there's one set diet, that there is, like, you have to be a certain way, and they're looking for that, that
No,
perfect.
I think I agree with you a lot about that, actually. Because yeah, I think I agree with you, because it was what I was saying. There's no perfect diet, and at least she's owning up to why she's changing, I guess. And just because I don't agree with the refined sugar, the white sugar, everything else I don't have a problem with. I was just surprised about the French fries, because she always talked about what I know about her. She talked about pure food from nature, not packaged. So that's surprising. But I was thinking as you were talking, she lives in the jungle, right? So
Yeah.
it's very possible that with so much activity that she does during the day, she needs grounding, a lot of grounding. And this is where maybe she finds the starches really help her.
Yeah. I think and I was talking, I don't know who else, but so many lives, but the greatest gift I want to give the world, or from my journey, is that from birth we've been shut down. Is
Mm.
we are like all the other animals on the planet. We have this ability, if we eat right, we are grounded enough, we're not overstressed. We should have that intuition like they do when they're unwell, and they go off and eat grasses or herbs, or lick salt off walls when they need sodium. We are behind the animals, because we are controlled so much by what we're born into, what our family does, what is trending, and nutrition and science is evolving all the time. We don't know everything. And what I basically did, we've lost Chantal there for a minute. what I basically did was I was able, because I was so disconnected from the world, is I finally was like, I'm so broken, I'm just going to eat what I'm called to. And that led me down this path of getting in touch with what my body needs. If you're craving salt, yet forcing in sugar, like I was, not processed sugar, but fruits continually. No wonder for the last 2 years I've lived off greens, nuts and seeds, veggies and sprouts. Is your body will eventually become so loud you have to listen, and it is to listen to what. And I'm not talking about people who are heavily addicted right now. Your first job is to let go of your addictions and start including more healthy things. But if you're in the midst of a high raw diet and a high raw diet, and you have a tendency to want more carbohydrates or complex carbohydrates, or you're craving sprouts, or like when I broke my toe is literally the only time every day my body's like just adding a scoop of hemp, for me, hemp protein powder. My mum isn't even vegan and she chooses to use that. Is the easiest to assimilate, and it's got all the essential amino acids. To learn to listen to your body. I've gone a long way about doing this, but learn to listen to your body.
It's so important. That's what we're just talking about, whether or not we would do what Freely's doing. I think she's listening to her body. I think just owning up to that, I respect it.
I do as well. So yeah, I think that's it for this week, guys.
Yeah, nobody's asking any more questions.
Well, there is
there was a question. There was a question about the what is it? It was at the beginning, actually.
Yes, I've gone back to the beginning. There was a couple things that came from Sprinkler Flimsy.
Yeah, she was asking really good questions. I think it was about the humic and fulvic acid.
Yes.
Well, so that's actually a good question, but you use it in a cleanse because they do uh, get attached to certain minerals and certain metals, but I wouldn't do them all the time. But if you're doing a cleanse, possibly something that you can use. Yeah, the science is a little bit on this one. There are some safety issues, not issues, but concerns. So I'm always a little bit mindful about how can we do this. We could use things like bentonite clay, which is safe, for example. Zeolite clay, which is also safe if you really wanted to do a clay. But yeah, it depends. I really think get your minerals from your food, and be careful with things that you are putting in that might bind to other things in your body and then deplete you, actually. That's why for the
on that, I wanted to say, so I feel like I've got multiple benefits. Please know I'm missing 8 organs. I have got multiple benefits from adding a multivitamin and a B1 supplement into my diet. But what I want people to know, because a lot of people will go, oh, you've done that, that will fix me. Do you know the work I've done to have an efficient body to be able to assimilate a vitamin? If you give the girl you see in this picture here a multivitamin, it kills me. Like it literally depletes me more. My body cannot process. It's at full capacity. Sometimes it's really important to give your body the easiest way it can get nutrients, which is food, right? Is because I work with people who are gotten themselves sick, and to fix themselves, there's like 15 supplements and herbs. And I'm like, a body which is overinflamed, overtaxed, may need the things in those vitamins, but to get them through your system, they're coming in full force, and you have to pull from your body to balance, first off, like the gut, the electrolytes in your body. You've got, as I said, no enzymes. Everything has to be balanced. So it's the gratitude I have that my body was able to tolerate, because it needs more. And because a lot of people go, that's what fixed, because my gut is a lot better now. I'm getting the B1 in, which is a vitamin, which is in a lot of things. I think it's also in sunflower seeds as well. But they're finding a lot of good results with people who have irritable bowel, chronic fatigue, that whole spectrum, because B1 is going to help the nervous system through the gut, but also most of the chronic fatigue is a mitochondria problem
Yeah,
within the
exactly.
cells. That's why blood tests don't show the deficit, because we're not testing mitochondria. But I did want to give a warning that if you get sick, don't necessarily, if you can get one or two things in, be very mindful of what you choose and what your body has. Like, I literally think of vitamins as drugs, which essentially they are, right? And I am like very great. Like, I know that I am behind the eight ball with missing organs, but it took me 4 years, or 4.5 years, to be able to get the benefits from those things, is what I'm probably trying to say, without them
Mm.
becoming tax, like a deficit on my body. Because we look at
Yeah,
other people who heal with something. I added B1 supplement, they put it in and get sick. And so I just wanted to give that.
yeah, I like that. You're right. And actually, to what you were saying, um, Go Ted said, if you don't clean your kidneys, it will be difficult for a disease to get out. And that is when, and now it's not just the kidneys. It's, I know that he's looking at probably Dr. Morse, but it's the kidneys obviously at the outweigh of the lymphatic system. But your gut, you know, we have to poop every day. Like if you're constipated or not pooping like you should, that's a problem. And I know that we are talking now about what is the motility of the gut that is normal for people, and a lot of gastroenterologists say it could be normal to go to the bathroom every 3 days. From an hygienist point of view and from studying naturopathy, if you're not shitting every day, guys, you're full of shit. I'm sorry. You know.
That's when especially when I was on all that pain medication, that was, and I would end up in hospital with tears, fissures, because I had so much surgery already down there, a mess. And now you eat raw food and you go 3 times a day. Like, and then you're like, some people go more. I'm not saying that's what everyone has to do, but the more I'm empty, the better I feel. Like I feel
Yeah.
like I feel like, and not my kidneys, like my bladder emptying, bowel. I'm like, get it out, get it
Yeah.
out, get it out.
And you know my love for tofu, but I noticed that when I don't have it, I actually have better bowel movement because again, protein is dehydrating, and when you're dehydrated, your bowel movement is going to be difficult. If you're eating just fruit and veggies, everything just moves through much quicker, especially fruit. This is why actually from a if you can take the fruit, and I know your protocol has been different, but when people can take fruit, the best way is actually to start your morning with the fruit because that will definitely guarantee a bowel movement. And then, you know, and no fats in the morning. And then have your fats with your greens rather. Um, which actually plays, it's something that we also talk about even in cooked food vegan, when a lot of doctors that are, you know, reversing cardiovascular disease and metabolic disease, they always say if you are in a place where you have to heal or your body's not efficiently even metabolizing glucose, one of the hallmarks of of for example diabetes or pre-diabetes or insulin resistance is that there is too much fat into your cells. Therefore, actually having your carbohydrates with fat is the worst thing that you can do. I can actually attest. I mean, I reversed diabetes with mostly fruit. But I also noticed that, you know, of course, there's something very appealing to having your dates with nuts because, I mean, they are a marriage made in heaven, really, for the taste bud. But I also noticed that when I do that, I do feel terrible for a few days because, again, the gastric dumping is much slower when you have fats and fruit together and sweet together. So it's much better to have fats with your greens, and it helps you assimilate all the vitamins that you need to assimilate and so on. That's important. But try to have your sugars on their own, you know?
Yes, I will. I think one of the greatest things that I've had to learn on this journey is the closer you get to the 50% fat and 50% sugar, it's that combo, just like in the real world when they use that to make thick shakes and ice creams and donuts, is just as toxic. Well, okay, less toxic with the fiber, but over time, it's, you really need to most of the time stay up to 10 to 12, 15%, right, of the either fats, and then the rest is amino acids, carbohydrates, or vice versa, where it's 10 to 12, 15% of sugars, carbohydrates, amino acids, and fats every time I move in. What I have noticed I've been able to do recently, which you please know, I'm missing the top portion of my digestive system. So I had something, and it flared up recently, called dumping syndrome, where the food I eat dumps into the intestines, the small intestines. The intestines is where blood sugars go through the wall. So you get this instant hit. Nothing's in the stomach chimed together. It's literally just dumps. So I've noticed when I have anything sweet, it's best for me to do like the berries, green apples, but also have it with like a bit of cucumber or zucchini. And then sometimes I can feel, this is what I've learned, like your body tells you it'll need a tiny bit of nut butter just because things are going way too fast.
Yes.
But if you overdo it, sorry, not nut butter, seed butter is, I'm finding much, much better. But it's not that my body, I should be, and I don't eat, sorry, and I had to retrain myself. This is the other thing with constantly eating carbohydrates, is the blood sugar drop made me constantly hungry. So I'm finding if I can find the right combo, it's lasting me longer and I'm not constantly hungry. So that has helped me a lot as well. But yeah, that's something to think about. If you are having blood sugar regulations or not dysregulations, all of a sudden you really crave a fat, it's usually because things are just going through way too fast.
That is true. Indeed, actually, I agree with that. And you know, I'm gonna make a confession in a way. Like, I'm definitely finding a bit of challenges with my body right now because I since last September. Well, first of all, because of the hypothalamic amenorrhea, I was trying to bring my period back by putting more calories and putting a little bit of fat on my body. But I really don't do great with fat. But then I noticed something that started happening, which is every time I used to go to the farm and I was doing that more often, I was almost forcing myself to be home. And just being there, the emotional stress for me became having, dates and nuts and making like these raw brownies that, I mean, occasionally they're fine, but like I wasn't doing it every weekend. And I think that I have abused my gallbladder and kidney pathways, and I'm paying the consequences of it now. So I have to be extremely, really careful with fats. But it's interesting because again, my body was giving me like I was feeling inflamed, like inflamed. I was eating nuts and my legs started burning, like I had fire in my veins. And I was like, this is interesting. So I really had to step back from the nuts, but yeah, but I think of course it's the emotional side as well. But like, this is just to say nobody's perfect. Like I teach these things and I still fall prey to emotional eating. And I understand, like, when you're feeling what I was thinking the other day, like sometimes you can feel so, I mean, high performance is something that I do really well, but I can feel so charged up that I just almost need that emotional hug. And if I don't have anybody to give me one, the dates will do it for me. Like the food will do it for me. Those sweet things feel like a hug. And I think, that's why I don't like judging like the food, the people that have different diets and maybe rely on food in a different way, because I think we always forget that there is an emotional side that is equally as powerful, and we have to really consider it because we're not machines, we're humans.
Yeah, and somebody said thank you for sharing that. And we learn so much from experience and what we go through. And something I will bring up off the back of that is, if you've known my journey, I've had emotional amnesia since 2017 when I dissociated. And I went very high on like the fruits and did a lot of letting go of things, and I've done a lot of rebuilding. And about 2 years ago, after a juice cleanse, not during, after, memory started to come back. And what is really apparent, because yesterday it almost felt, not, I can't say normal yet, but a lot of when you, and I think I was still splitting for years. So a lot of, because I went through so much trauma, I couldn't remember it all at once. I would go into different versions of myself where when she kind of came out, she always had her own mannerisms when I was going through. It's like I can see how split personality disorder. It's definitely how the body copes. And I'm grateful I have it because my brain couldn't remember everything at once, too much. But working on myself, it's come back. And I don't want to just say the raw foods did it. That's working in the background. The biggest thing that's apparent in my life right now is safety. So it's taken 5 years to feel like it's just normal to have your family around. I have a whole lot of friends, especially online. That's my normality. It's not like, everything's new again. So everything, my whole part, the way it used to be was you didn't know what was coming next, what organ's going to go, what surgery. And my brain, no wonder it to cope, just split off. And it wasn't like I didn't know there's other versions. They're all different versions of myself. And I think I was still splitting. But now I can actually look at photos and it's the same person. I used to zoom into what I was doing at that time. That was fruit sky. That was surgery sky. That was sky. Like, there were just different versions of myself. And now it's just looking at the same person. And I don't get too excited anymore because this goes through phases. And I feel like the excitement almost throws me out again. But yesterday, an example of this is, I think most people aren't aware, but actually a lot of what you feel and a lot of how you interpret the world is based on this seasonal cyclic approach, our cycle of our period. The same people are around us, but like Christmas is coming up again and there's the Christmas feeling. That was not in me since I split. I would have to recall that it's Christmas. But Mother's Day, I would be in the mirror, I'm like, oh, it's another Mother's Day. Very vague level, but that to me is one of the biggest goals. But I'm very aware my nervous system is, you can call it more regulated, but it's safe. I've been in the same place for a certain amount of time. And I don't think I could talk as much about emotions and mindset and things because my brain and body wouldn't acknowledge it yet, or I hadn't experienced that level. But this level and the raw foods, I'm doing the same bundle, same time of the year. I've done this 4 years now. That all plays into a huge part of healing. So
I agree.
it's not just the food, guys.
No, it's everything. You know, it's funny. I was reading the book by Dr. Nicole LaPera. She's the holistic psychologist, and she has this new book called Reparenting Your Inner Child. Yeah. And for me, that came up a few years ago, and I'm like, oh my God, like little Chantal is what she was angry with me when I left my husband. I had a moment where I really, and this is part of I think the dark night of the soul as well, and actually going through that journey that just pushed me to make decisions. I'm like, now that I'm changing hormonally, if I don't do it now, I am going to just put myself in this wall of, that is going to be a prison for me. And I had a feeling like I had this vision of looking at myself as a small child, like being angry, but at me, adult me, being like, you are not looking after me. You're not keeping me safe. And that just broke my heart. And I was like, oh my God, but you are safe. And I had to really tap into that and be like, no, actually, I am going to make the best decision I can to make you safe, so that me as an adult, I can feel safe as well. And it's work, and this is why it goes beyond the food. I must say the raw food has been an amazing catalyst for having courage, because I think when you're healing your body, you just find yourself to have more clarity, and almost knowing that because you're not drowning your emotion in food, and cooked food is so nurturing, you can definitely drown your emotions in it. Raw food keeps it raw. So you're like, I am gonna have to feel all this, period.
It does. It does do that. Thank you for sharing that. It's when you talk about your inner child, is I many times when I was at like a rock bottom and FND, locked in syndrome, whatever you want to call it, could not move. Like I was locked in. I've shared this before where I couldn't do it for me, but for some, because you can't, the connection's disconnected, although it's not physical. You come, so all your movements are like robotic. It's not normal. You are full on disconnected. But if I needed to move across to even pick up a blanket or something, a little Sky would come to my mind, and I'm like, I can do it for her. And that's why we were talking last week. I don't know who it was with, but about putting the photo of yourself when you're like 6 or an age you remember being happy, joyful, playful, next to the mirror, because we wake up most mornings and one of the first things we do is go, you look so tired. Are you going to get through today? And this lowers so much when you're on Raw, but the way especially women talk to themselves, and this is who you are, right? And this is you starting your day. So if you can't do it for you right now, get a photo of when you could do it for you and say, I love you. I'm going to do this for you, because the more I swear to God on this journey, the more you choose love, the more love will come to you in all facets, and you will heal. Like, love is so powerful. If you eat raw food and dive into negativity, I promise you, I'll talk to you in 10 years and you'll be like, what's raw? I mean, you may come back around, sorry. But like, the love aspect of choosing love is huge. And I believe I've got to the healing I have and stayed on Raw and doing podcasts and smiling, all because I choose love. So I think that's important.
I love that. Truly love that.
Okay. So there was one more, if you want to answer it. This is just on the suggest strengthening and breathing. But there was a question on mangoes. Now, I just want to say...
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm just going to say what I have learned about fruit and seeds is because a lot of people, a lot of people eat big meals to get calories in for not so much nuts, but for fruit, for example, right? So you've eaten, just say you've eaten a handful of nuts, but you want to have your watermelon, and then you go have half a watermelon. You're literally going to end up in the biggest disaster. What I have noticed that I'm doing, and I am missing my stomach, is at the moment, because I'm trying to still get the fruit in, if I make myself, I call them balance bowls, where in the bowl I've got some mushrooms, some celery, some cucumber, green apple, a couple of berries, some tahini, and it's a normal size serving. So there is fruit, there is nut, and there is veg. My body will process that. But if I make that a massive meal, or I do a huge fruit meal and then a huge salad, or a huge salad and a huge fruit meal, I personally find the volume is where food combining is so important. If you're a volume eater, you need it moving through. But for me, I actually want it will sit there. And I've noticed I have to choose carefully. So I've noticed volume is huge for food combining. So go for it.
I would say you have your mangoes first, because your fruit digests quicker. And then after an hour, have your almonds if you want to have that combination. Because then you are getting your fats and your protein a little bit separate from your mangoes. You are going to go to the toilet probably quite quickly with the mangoes anyway. They're not going to ferment on top of the protein and fats, which is a good thing. So I would always have fruit first, and wait a little bit, and then have the fats and the protein after.
So with this, my also question, I don't know whether you're still there, is if you are, because I think this person does a lot of fasting and fruit, is you just want to be careful if you want to continue to have fruit for the rest of the day. Because when I used to do a lot of fruits, is even though you want savory or fat, you have to be really careful if you're eating in volume. Like, you cannot after that go eat a huge amount of fruit. I mean, it depends how good your digestive system is, right? How fast it's moving as well. So you don't want to go have a watermelon like an hour after, or half a watermelon. You know, the fats again.
It depends what you've eaten before. Absolutely, that's very important.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Thank you for your time. Thank you, Sky.
Thank you. Now I'm going to give the bundle, Raw Vegan Bundle, one more shout out before we go. I'm just trying to find the link here. Have I lost it?
Yeah, guys, it's like 24 hours. You got to get it.
Yes, the Ultimate Raw Vegan Bundle. There is 32 contributions. I've got 2 ebooks, my beauty ebook, natural products. I've got my recipes ebook. You've got people like Liz Samaras, menopause book. You've got Chris Kendall and Doug Graham, their course. You've got Karen and Rick Dina, their course. The Bread Lady I interviewed last night, which is Christina. You've got Enzyme Rich Breads. There's so much in this. All these books are worth close to $50, you know, for $30, $40, $50. So you're getting $1,500 worth of value for $50, but it's about to go. You've only got one more day to get it. And this is all brand new raw vegan content. So,
and it won't be back for the whole year. So,
yes,
you know.
Yes, that's right. So it's there for you to support you for life, but it'll be valuable, especially over the next year. So go check that out. And a final shout out is if you have any topics that you would like us to talk about, bring the awareness of, you know, natural health science, women's health, please drop them underneath our videos. I know our videos are scattered everywhere, but we're checking them all the time. So leave your comments below.
Oh, sorry, Cranberry Merlin, you're a little bit late, but hopefully you can watch the recording. And I will check what Becoming Raw says about the protein efficiency now on a raw diet.
Yes.
And I'll put it on under the video on YouTube.
Thank you for that. So lots of information there. Stay safe, look after yourself, and fill your body with more raw.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.